Hi and welcome to a weekly outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday, the 3rd of April. So, slightly a day late because obviously bank holiday yesterday. Did have a bit of data coming through yesterday afternoon in the US there. The manufacturing PMI data came out, just fell slightly short of expectation. Looking forward for this week then. Well, we just about to, if it hasn't already been released, get the manufacturing PMI data coming out for the UK. In fact, I'll probably click on that and it will be there. As I record this, there we go. Slightly above expectation, so more positive than anything. Okay, we have got an FOMC speaker due this evening PM. Okay, so that's not going to affect our normal day trading, but could create some volatility due to speak about financial stability. And okay, um, maybe not so much. Aussie dollar retail sales due Wednesday morning, building approvals. This retail sales more likely to create a bit of volatility there. Construction PMI Wednesday morning for the London session. It's the lesser of the three PMI data numbers coming out there, so it's less likely to create much volatility. But what we do have then is the ADP numbers coming out at 1:15, followed by US non-manufacturing, so it's the services data coming out at 3, which is still quite a key number for the US there. So these numbers do make up the GDP, of course, so these sort of numbers are quite important. Or very important. So watch out for that. Although services are lesser than normal manufacturing data. The manufacturing data is more important in general terms. Okay. For the UK, USA's crude oil inventories okay, not so much, and we've got another FOMC speaker due to speak about diversity in economics. Okay, at 4 p.m. I don't expect that to be a major mover. Okay, leading into Thursday, then we've got the very important services PMI for the UK. Due in at 9:30, the Aussie trade and balance. That does create volatility in a relatively low volume market. At 1:30, trade balance for Canada, not a major mover, nor the unemployment claim. So nothing significant now on Thursday. And again, another FOMC speaker. They're queuing up this week due to speak about financial literacy. Oh, okay. Let's not be worried about that one then. Okay, moving into Friday, and of course Friday's quite a key day. We've got the non-farm employment data coming out. Average earnings is the key number yet again, but the numbers will be watched, and each of them run over that average hourly earnings increase. Looking from 0.1 last time, 0.3 this time will be the main number that we'll be looking for, as I say, followed by the change. Unemployment rate is historically at a reasonably low figure, at around about that 4%. So, but even if it went up to 4.1, it won't make a lot of difference. Or comes down as it's expected to 4. The bigger changes are really on the earnings, and then the non-farm employment change itself month on month. Okay, so aside of that, and we've got Carney speaking at 4:15, just speaking international climate risk. Okay, don't expect great volatility at that one. At 6:30, is he speaking at the same place? Due to speak at the economic outlook of the Economic Club of Chicago. Okay, so maybe a bit of volatility at 6:30 on a Friday. Don't think there'll be too many traders hanging around for that. So that's pretty much it from a economics number and the economics numbers to be watching for. Let's have a look at the technicals now. I've been watching the technicals obviously quite closely this last few weeks, and well, it's just we've got a flat line. In fact, if you bring the daily in, if you look at the monthly pivot, and basically if you get a couple of days away from monthly, I nearly said pumpfully pivot then, the monthly pivot, it comes back to it 2 days later on the third day. So it seems to be the price action at the moment, but don't count on that. So where are we at the moment? Now, I looked at the sentiment. Now, I'm just going to drag in sentiment because I can't get it from my usual source, and I've just gone directly for the sentiment here. And the sentiment, I was just looking at the contracts overall. It's still pretty strong towards the long side on the non-commercials, which I'm looking at here. Still pretty long there. Change from the previous week there. Well, is at least a 2-to-1 for the long side there. The positive change. So open interest much more significant on the longer side. Now we've seen. On the retail side, the numbers coming off slightly from being short, which probably means, well, nothing really at the moment. But according to some stats there, I've certainly seen the short percentage fall down a little bit. However, that doesn't mean to say they're necessarily getting long. It's just that they've taken too much pain probably. But we could see we'll still have the potential pushing up, but technically there's nothing significant here. I mean, yes, we're in this very tight range, and I think we'll probably be looking at this wedge that sort of sits there. If we start breaking properly to the lower side here, well, we've got the monthly S1 to run to, but to the upside, well, we could still pitch into the daily R1, monthly R1, and still be below this sort of more significant sort of area around that 125 area point. So very difficult to look at where this is going until we get something a little bit more certain. But at the moment, it's chop and roll. Okay, the pound. Let's have a look at that. It's come out to the weekly first. Now we've air kissed the weekly 200 there. Came off a little bit. It's rallying at the moment. It's in a little bit of a push up. Overall, from here, well. There's potential we could just find it sort of some resistance back in and be sold back towards that monthly pivot, I guess. The figures may have come out slightly better. Well, it did come out slightly better there at the moment, but we'll see how it runs. But it has at least had some sort of trend kicking through. There's some really big sell-off days last week. Not such great gains since then, but it's quite volatile at the moment. Could still run through and become stronger. Now, again, I'm looking at the non-commercial sentiment here, and I've got the wrong one there. Let's have a look at the pound sterling. There we go. And again, look at these long positions being built up. Significant. Really, it's not 3-to-1, it's more than 2-to-1 there on the long side still. So the markets, the COT report certainly suggests potential further upside, and well, that's the way it's looking like it may push at the moment. But I think again with this untouched monthly pivot, it could struggle a little bit there. Dollar yen. Dollar yen's been absolutely burdened, is probably the best term, by loads and loads of option expiries, massive sizes relative to the volumes, etc. So it's been tight and in a very tight old range here. Not that said, the euro to a degree been pinned in a little bit, but certainly the yen has. A lot of the bigger positions that were being held underneath here have disappeared a little bit. It could also slide down some more. It's sticky where it is at the moment. Looking at a daily picture, well, very difficult in terms of really say trying to determine where this is going to go from where it sits at the moment. It may just be finding some support where it is. We can start breaking in the shorter term. There may be some intraday trades that are a lot easier than trying to work out where this is going from a larger time frame here. But it seems that every time it does give a little push up, it's giving back quite quickly, although it's still quite a volatile market. You see how quick some of these upward movements are sort of occurring there relative to 3 sort of down days in between. If this can close up a little bit, it may today, it may suggest more bullishness and maybe a move back to that daily 50, the R1 above at 107.50. But it's really struggled of late, and as I said, it's been pinned in by options. And some of the daily moves have been like 30 pips, while we've seen nearly 200 pips in the pound and 150 in the euro. So, as I say, very pinned in market at the moment. Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar, again, it's still the weakest on the block in the sense. It ended up on a down bar again last week, but a little pitch up towards the end there. It just pitched up on the Friday, so it's run through yesterday, sold off a little bit, put in a pivot swing, but it's been sort of negated now. Has got the monthly pivot above. It may just be a draw sufficiently. Technically, I can't. I mean, it was diverging back into last Thursday. Well, Friday pitched up a bit, but it may give opportunities from a sell point off of anything into a retrace such as the monthly pivot there. I would watch that carefully as we run through the week. Sentiment's not great on the Aussie dollar anyway. Actually, in fact, let's just have a quick look on the Aussie dollar sentiment. It's just see if we can find it. Russian ruble, cheese. No cheese here, sir. Mexican peso. Where is it? Euro, Brazilian real, New Zealand dollar, South African rand. Have I just gone past it without even seeing it there? No. New Zealand dollar, Brazilian real, British euro, Japanese yen, British pound, Mexican. Who wants to be trading the Aussie dollar? That's what I'd like to know. It's not there for some obscure reason. I cannot see unless it's right down the list here. Minis, crikey. NASDAQ. Nikkei. Yes, nope, it's not sitting there. New Zealand dollar, but no Aussie dollar to have a balance of for some reason that I can see there, unless I'm just going cross-eyed. Okay, let's have a look at the Canadian dollar then. I think the sentiment pretty much shows on the Aussie dollar the fact that it's pretty weak here. Now, Canadian dollar, it's just edging back down south a little bit. Momentum looks bullish. Then last week was a bit of a doji bar. It held its own there. It had a little bit of a bounce, but it's been rather range bound at times. And well, just look at last week actually. I mean, it really was a difficult one. It had a couple of up days in the earlier part of the week, gave back most of what it gained, and then it's just been sitting. Well, Friday, Monday, very little volumes going through the markets there. The moment it's erring to. I mean, looking at the pattern that I'm seeing here. You got this sort of pattern here, which looks like it could head south here and strengthen some more. I would have liked to have seen the monthly pivot as a sell point on it in terms of it would pull back towards that, but it's early in a light volume week. It may give back what it's gaining here against the US dollar quite quickly. So, but it's still erring towards that sort of more bearish side there. Just go back to the weeklies there. So I think it's not a lot to yeah. I mean, it's pretty tight in terms of what we're going. I mean, look at that weekly 8. Maybe find support off that area if it sells through there this week back into that sort of area, which is close to that daily 34. If it starts breaking through this area, maybe that daily 34, well, then we could be seeing sort of a one-to-one sort of move back down towards the monthly S1. So it does look potential like it may have some potential weakness. Let's just have a quick look at what oil's up to here. If it's rallying a little bit more, well, it's hardly pushing up too much as it's come off from nearly 67 down to 60. Nearly 67, about over $4. It's dropped off last week in the end and through yesterday. So well, it may be recovering some of that because it was light volume sitting through yesterday. It's very unreliable days, bank holidays. I'm saying that's yesterday. Was that yesterday? The second. It was the second yesterday. So yeah, very unreliable volume in light when it's so light a volume. Right. Okay. So yeah, coming back to the Canadian dollar, if that oil can push up a little bit more, maybe we'll see a bit more of a rollover kicking in here, and it's selling off some more. So that's pretty much it for me. Have a great one. I'll be back next week. Bye for now.